The moment my mother called me the backup daughter, something in me quietly shut off, and for the first time in my life, I decided to see what would happen if I stopped fixing everything. My name is Sarah and I live in Colorado. I've spent most of my life being the person everyone relies on. Not because I wanted to be, because no one else would. I have an older sister, Jessica. She's 32, and if you met her, you'd probably like her immediately. She's easy to talk to, funny, the kind of person who fills a room without trying. Growing up, everything she did had a way of being excused. If she messed up, it was just Jessica being Jessica. If I slipped, even a little, it was a problem. I remember when she wrecked my dad's car in high school. She came home crying, dramatic, saying the brakes were bad. My mom hugged her, told her it wasn't her fault, that the important thing was she was okay. A week later, I got a B in math. My dad sat me down at the kitchen table and asked me what was going on, like I was suddenly falling apart. That was the difference. Jessica was chaos that needed comfort. I was stability that needed to stay perfect. And the thing is, I leaned into it. I got good grades. I stayed out of trouble. I worked part-time during college so I wouldn't have to ask for much. Not because I was trying to be better than her, but because I knew if I didn't hold things together, no one would. By the time I graduated, I already had a job lined up as an accountant. Nothing glamorous, but steady. Predictable. Safe. Jessica dropped out of college halfway through her second year. She said it wasn't for her. My parents agreed. It's not for everyone, my mom said, like that settled it. Around that same time, I asked if they could help me with the last bit of my tuition balance. I wasn't asking for everything, just some help. My dad looked at me and said, "You'll figure it out. You always do." And I did. That was the beginning of something I didn't fully understand yet. A couple years later, I was 22, working full-time, barely keeping up with rent in my small apartment. That's when my parents first asked me for money. My dad's hours had been cut. My mom said things were tight. Just temporary, they said. "Can you help out a little?" she asked over the phone. I didn't hesitate. "Yeah, of course." That little became a monthly transfer. At first, it felt normal. Families help each other. Then one night, I came over for dinner and Jessica was there, sitting at the table like she hadn't disappeared for 3 months. She was in a good mood, laughing, talking about some trip she wanted to take. Later, while my mom was in the kitchen, I overheard her talking to my dad. "We cleared most of her credit cards," she said quietly. I froze. Thousands of dollars. Gone. I waited until we were alone, then I asked her about it. She didn't deny it. "She's struggling," she said, like it explained everything. "You're not." That was it. No apology. No acknowledgement that I was the one helping them stay afloat while they were quietly fixing her mistakes. I told myself it was temporary, that things would balance out eventually. They didn't. Months turned into years. I helped with their mortgage when things got worse. Covered groceries sometimes. Paid for repairs when something broke. I wasn't living with them, but I was still there. Always available. Always fixing something. Jessica drifted in and out of the house like it was a hotel. New job, then no job. New boyfriend, then gone. Every time she came back, it was like she'd returned from something important. My parents never asked her for anything. They asked me for everything. I didn't fight it. That's the part one keep thinking about now. I didn't argue. I didn't set boundaries. I just adjusted. Worked more. Spent less. Sent money when they needed it. I told myself this is just how families work. You step up when you're the one who can. But there were moments, small ones, that stuck with me. Like the time I fixed their water heater. Spent my entire Saturday figuring it out, paying for parts, making sure everything worked. My dad said, "Good thing we have you." And I remember thinking, yeah, good thing you do. Because what happens if you don't? I didn't say it out loud. I never did. Then last year, everything started to shift. My dad had a health scare. Nothing major, but enough to land him in the hospital for a couple days. I remember sitting in that room, watching him sleep, listening to the machines and realizing how much of everything was already resting on me. Not emotionally. Practically. Bills. Logistics. Decisions. After he got out, my parents started talking about getting things in order. Wills. The house. Assets. The kind of conversations people have when they realize things won't stay the same forever. For the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not because I wanted anything from them, but because I thought, maybe now they see it. Maybe now they understand what I've been doing this whole time. A week later, my mom asked me to come over. Just me. No explanation. I didn't think much of it. I'd been there 100 times before for 100 different reasons. When I walked in, everything felt normal. Same house. Same kitchen. Same quiet. She made coffee like she always did. We sat across from each other at the table. And for a second, I really thought this was it. That this was the moment things finally balanced out. She didn't look nervous. She didn't hesitate. She just stirred her coffee, looked at me, and said, "We've decided to put the house in Jessica's name." I actually smiled. Not because I was happy, because I thought she was joking. I actually smiled. Not because I was happy, because I thought she was joking. I let out this small laugh and said, "Wait, what?" My mom didn't laugh back. She just kept stirring her coffee like nothing had changed. And that's when I realized this wasn't a conversation. It was a decision. Already made. I felt something drop in my chest, like my body understood before my brain did. "Why?" I asked. She looked up at me, calm, almost patient, like I was the one missing something obvious. "Because Jessica needs stability," she said. "This will help her settle down." I waited for the rest of it. For the part where she mentioned me. Everything I'd done. Everything I'd been carrying. It didn't come. Instead, she added, "You're different. You'll be fine no matter what." I don't know why, but I pushed a little harder. "And me?" I asked. "Where do I fit into that?" That's when she said it. So casually it almost didn't register. "You're the backup, Sarah. You always have been." She said it like it was a compliment. Like being the one who catches everything when it falls apart was some kind of honor. I didn't react right away. I just sat there, staring at her, waiting for something, anything, to tell me she didn't mean it the way it sounded. But she just kept talking. About how Jessica needed a chance. How this would motivate her. How I was strong enough to build my own life without help. Not once did she say thank you. Not once did she acknowledge what I'd already given. And that's the moment something in me didn't break. It just stopped. No anger. No yelling. No tears. Just this quiet, steady realization that I had been standing in a place no one else even saw. I finished my coffee, nodded like I understood, and left. She didn't stop me. That night, I sat in my apartment with the lights off. I kept replaying it. Not just what she said, but how easy it was for her to say it. Like it had been true for years. Like everyone already knew. And the more I thought about it, the more everything started to line up in a way I couldn't ignore anymore. Every time they asked for help. Every time I gave it. Every time Jessica messed up and they fixed it. Every time I told myself it was temporary. It wasn't. It was the system. And I was the safety net holding it all together. I didn't make some big decision that night. I didn't promise myself anything. But the next morning I opened my banking app. And I stopped. No speech. No warning. I canceled the automatic transfers. Closed the gap. For the first time in years, I let the responsibility sit where it actually belonged. With them. At first, nothing happened. A week went by. Then 2. No calls. No messages about money. I almost thought, maybe they hadn't noticed. Then my dad called. "Hey," he said, his voice careful. "Did something happen with the transfer this month?" I kept my voice steady. "No. I just needed to adjust my budget." There was a pause. "Oh," he said. "Okay. Just temporarily, right?" I didn't answer right away. "I don't know," I said finally. He didn't push. He never did. My mom called a few days later. Not angry. Just inconvenienced. "We were counting on that," she said. "I know," I replied. "Well, can you still help?" "Even a little." I stared at the wall in front of me. "I can't keep doing it," I said. There was a shift in her tone then. Not hurt. Not understanding. Just irritation. "You know things are tight right now." "I know," I said again. And that was it. No argument. No resolution. Just a quiet line drawn that she didn't agree with. Jessica didn't say anything for weeks. Then one afternoon, she called me out of nowhere, like nothing had changed. "Hey," she said, cheerful. "So I've been thinking about repainting the living room. What do you think, like a light gray or something warmer?" I almost laughed. "Do you know how the house got paid for?" I asked. There was a pause. Then she said, "Mom and Dad have been planning it." That was her answer. Not really answering anything. No guilt. No curiosity. Just acceptance. Months passed. And things started to slip. At first, it was small. My mom mentioning bills being a little behind. My dad picking up extra shifts, even though he probably shouldn't have. Then it got heavier. One night, my dad called me. It was late. He sounded tired. "I don't know how we're going to keep up with everything," he admitted. I didn't know what to say. So I didn't say anything. Not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood that caring wasn't the same as fixing. Jessica had moved into the house by then. That was supposed to be the solution. Give her responsibility. Give her something to take care of. Except, nothing about her changed. She still worked part-time. Still went out most nights. Still lived like someone else would handle whatever came next. Because someone always had. The arguments started after that. I didn't hear them directly, but I heard enough. Through relatives. Through neighbors. Through the kind of small comments that slip out when people are trying not to say too much. Money. Stress. Blame. Everything that had been quietly balanced before was now exposed. It didn't collapse overnight. It took months. Missed payments. More tension. Fewer options. Until eventually, there wasn't anything left to stretch. They had to sell the house. The same house they thought would fix everything. The same house they gave away like it didn't matter. Gone. Jessica couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't sustain it. And for the first time, there was no backup. They moved into a smaller apartment across town. Jessica left not long after that. I don't know where she went. I didn't ask. A few weeks later, my mom asked me to meet her for coffee. I almost said no, but I didn't. When I walked in, she looked different. Not dramatically. Just worn down. We sat across from each other, just like before. Same kind of table. Same kind of silence. After a while, she said, "We didn't realize how much you were doing." I nodded. I didn't need to hear it, but I let her say it. Then she added, quieter this time, "We thought you'd always be there." That was the closest she got to an apology. I could have said a lot in that moment. I could have listed everything. Every bill. Every sacrifice. Every time I stepped in when no one else would. But I didn't. Because it wouldn't change anything. "I'm still here," I told her. "Just not like before." She nodded. But I don't think she really understood. Not yet. Maybe she never will. Jessica hasn't spoken to me since everything fell apart. From what I've heard, she thinks I abandoned them. That I could have helped. That I chose not to. Maybe she's right. Or maybe I just stopped doing what I was never supposed to be doing in the first place. My life now is quieter. I'm saving money. Making plans that don't revolve around someone else's problems. It feels strange sometimes. Like I'm waiting for something to go wrong. For someone to call and ask me to fix it. But the calls don't come anymore. And when they do, I don't answer the same way. I still think about that moment at the kitchen table. About how easily my mom said it. "You're the backup." Like it was something I should be proud of. And maybe, for a long time, I was. But being the backup means you're only needed when everything else fails. It means you're not the first choice. You're the safety net. And the thing about safety nets is, people don't think about what happens if they're gone. For years, I held everything together. Not because I had to, but because I thought that's what love looked like. Now I'm not so sure. Because the moment I stepped back, everything they built started to fall apart. And part of me wonders if that says more about them. Or about me. So I need to ask. Was I wrong for stepping back and letting them face the consequences, even if I knew exactly what would happen when I did?